doesn't do that? I don't know if she knows it like that or what.
Well, God bless you. God bless you. God bless every one of you. This is the day that the Lord has made. I am rejoicing and I am extreme. She needs to be bringing some new stuff every time. I think it was the crab legs.
You know what? It could have been.
I think it's the crab legs that just got you acting like that. But nevertheless, listen, I'm J.E. Sturdivant, pastor of the Faith United Ministry, 7905 Ferdinand Lane in District Heights, Maryland. And you have us here live and in living color, even on the radio. Our voices are live and in living color right here for this particular broadcast, and we are extremely excited to be here. This is Back to Basics, Eyes of Faith radio broadcast, where we are bringing you real life issues, dealing with them, a biblical perspective, and you're getting an old head and millennial point of view. And so we're happy to have I'm holding it down in the studios of Church Talk, Church Talk, Church Talk, Church Talk, Church Talk. You can walk. If you don't, you can't talk. Listen, but they are making it happen there. And we are on here because my daughter, Lady Regina Robinson Davis, has made it possible. We saw her on there. Thank you, my dear sister Barbara and Spears for coming in. Yes, I see you on there. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming on. Everyone that's on by way of my YouTube channel, so happy to have you here. I appreciate you as well. And my Facebook family, love you so very, very much. You don't know how much it means to me to have you coming on the air. Did you see that little girl singing to Patti LaBelle? You don't know how much man, I was like, really? And then Patti came out on the stage.
Yeah, right. I don't know why they missed me, because I auditioned for that part.
Right.
I auditioned and I guess I didn't make the cut.
No, you didn't. It might have been because they were looking for somebody that was not yet 10.
Right. And she knew the song. Good afternoon, Sharon Dorsey. See you.
Yeah, she knew the song and was singing it, So that was a great blessing. And listen, before I jump into this, there's a girl that's from right here in D.C. She's in Prince George's County. And her name is Jackie Wright. And I'm doing this little quick shout out for her and her sister, Nikki Howard. Nice. And they are doing furlough cheesecake. That while they are on the furlough, they are making cheesecakes and everything. And they were kicking out about 100 per day of cheesecakes. Wait a minute. But Ellen picked it up and found out about it. Nice. And Ellen said, I love cheesecake, and I now want to send you, my friends at Cheerio have said that I should give you this, and she gave them $20,000 for one cheesecake, and now she says, and now you're going to get a whole lot more orders. And so that was very, very major that was going on, because I think that they come from out of the ministry I used to belong to, because that name was kind of, when you see them, you might know them. Yeah, but I think it's an awesome thing that people, as I've said here in Faith United Ministries, you all remember I said during the fast, that during the time of the shutdown, why not go and start the business that you always talked about starting, but you never had the time to start because you were always going to your 9 to 5. And Dr. Miles Monroe says you can only work your job from 9 to 5, start your business once you get off at 5 o'clock. And so some people have taken that and their businesses are taking off. One thing that this shutdown is doing is it is making people have faith in God that never would have had faith before. They are now walking in faith. Some are walking in their purpose. Sometimes you have to have, as the Bible says, an eagle to tear up the nest in order for you to get out and realize that you can fly. And so I want to encourage anybody. Well, I don't think that he's really the one you want to be singing right now. You didn't get That's just kind of,
Let's talk about the message of the song.
Right now, folks ain't feeling him too good. So they're not even going to remember the message. They're not going to remember the message. We were in the fast, so we didn't watch it.
I'm a little delayed on what's going on.
Yeah. yeah. You know,
Well, I hope he flies
Rama.
from this situation.
Yeah. We gonna let that one go right on by. Let everybody, y'all just let that marinate for a second, and we gonna move out. But I'm happy to have my co-hosts, my cohorts with me. Here I've got on the left of me, I've got her. You know who she is. She is StephTheBest.net.org.com, the DOT, box of dots. .edu .llc. She is the one that can either get your dome right or get your business straight. One of the two. But she is the one that's here. Steph, greet the people, please.
Good afternoon, great people.
Wait, with the vibrato?
Like it?
Y'all been practicing that?
I like the project.
Yeah, this is
natural.
gosh.
all natural.
Oh my goodness.
You told us in the fast.
Right.
You told us that we should have a song. You said.
Oh yeah.
Wait a
You
minute.
said,
Wait a
because
minute.
these are your words.
Come
You
on.
said that I'll sing it. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter how we sound. Because we should always have a song, is what you said.
Or did I say make a joyful noise? Which one did I say? Did
I
you?
think I heard the song part.
Yeah, you heard song and she heard 50. I'm just saying. Tracy Jefferson. Let's see what I got to put up with.
Anyway, good afternoon, guys. Church Talk, YouTube, Facebook, what's up? Yes, this is Back to Basics teaching. And right before we came on, Pastor showed me this video, right? And it was, what are those? Gazelles?
Those are like,
gazelles?
those were gazelles,
Okay,
yeah.
so it was two gazelles, and one was laying on the side of the road.
Like dead.
And it looked like it was dead, and the other gazelle was like pushing him and helping him get up and pushing him and literally got underneath him.
And picked him up by his
put him
horns.
on his feet, and then he started running, and I was like, oh my God, I thought he was dead.
He was dead.
And you know what? We can be your gazelle today.
Come
You
on,
might
man.
be laying on the side of the road.
Wait a minute.
But you know what? We're here to lift you up. We're here to get underneath you and put you back on your feet by using God's words and His basic teachings.
Come on.
Come on, share this.
Come on, gazelle. Come on, Patty Gazelle. Patty Gazelle.
Yep.
Come on, Patty
I
Gazelle.
just thought that was real profound. I liked it.
Yeah,
It's
that-
basic too, though.
But he was laying there dead.
Yeah.
He was not moving.
Wasn't moving.
And all of a sudden, you know, and if you all want to see where it was, go on my boy Tony Baker Comedy. Tony Baker, he is just hilarious. So go follow him on Instagram. But he had put that on there. He always does animals and animals' voices, and so he did that one and got him back up on his feet. All you need sometimes when you're feeling like you're dead. And he was not moving
Wasn't
at
moving.
all. But by the time he pushed him, he didn't move. The next time he pushed him, he didn't move. But he picked him up and put him on his feet. And when this one gazelle put the other one on his feet, he then took off running. And sometimes you've been so wounded, I'm a right on what Steph said, and you've been so hurt until you don't feel like going anymore. It's not that you're dead, it's just that your desire has gone. But when somebody comes and puts you back up on your feet again, you're like, you know what? If they believe in me, I might as well believe in
Yeah.
me. And he took off and started running. Believe I'll run on, see what the end gonna be. Believe I'll run on, see what the end gonna be. Believe I'll run on, see what the end gonna be. Believe I'll run on, see what the end gonna be. Y'all know this part I didn't. Wait a minute. Job declared, I got a long white robe waiting for me over there. Leave our shout on. See what the see, y'all know about that.
Yeah, I
And
remember
see,
that
I was looking all the way through the Bible. I didn't see where Joe declared that neither. But it was sounding good when we
It sounded
sang it
good
back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the day we sang
He
that.
never said that?
But he never said that. Job never
Oh,
said that.
man.
John said it, but
Line up
Job never did.
Oh.
See? But just people just sang songs because they sounded good. You know?
That line.
Yeah. Just like there's people say we're gonna stand in John's shoes. John wore sandals. He wore sandal shoes. He wore sandals. See, just stuff. I'm messing everybody's stuff up right now. Just messing everybody
That's
up
why I
right
be making
now.
up words when I
Making
sing.
up words.
Yeah.
You know, why are you making up a Joyce Noise? Look on the right of me. She is here. One word,
Yeah.
one name,
Hey.
one mic. You know who it is. Joyce.
Woo! Hey, y'all.
Wait a a minute.
Good afternoon.
There's
Yeah.
levels to this
Yeah,
thing.
it's what
I'm
up.
telling you.
There are levels to this
It
thing.
is. Yeah, we are excited when I tell you, we are glad to be here.
Yep.
Church Talk family, we appreciate you. Every week you allow us to come on your airways.
Every week.
And it's just a blessing, and we're thankful for those who is making it happen. Thank you so much. Facebook and YouTube, we tell you all what we do on this broadcast. We try to give you all just some basic teachings from some biblical, revelations. And this is what we do. This is the vision. I like that. It's like an echo. the one who saw the vision, he wrote the vision down some years ago.
Yeah.
He wrote the vision down.
Yep.
And it's happening.
Yep.
Eyes of Faith, Back to Basics. If the world don't know about our broadcast at this point, I don't know what y'all not doing. Y'all not sharing this.
You're not
you all
sharing
not
it.
telling this. But we need you all to tell people because we are doing some amazing things. 2019 is about to be a crazy year for the broadcast.
Oh, it's about to be amazing.
I mean, Jesus, you're amazing.
Thank you,
He's
Ricky
amazing.
Dillon.
Yes.
Ricky Dillon, thank you so much.
But
My
this
buddy.
year, for this broadcast, I wish we could tell you all what's about to happen, but we can't.
Can't tell you.
We can't tell it all. But if y'all stay connected with us,
That's
if
what
you're
Darryl
not-
Coley sang. Years ago, my brother Darryl Coley
He
said,
did.
"I just can't tell it all."
I just can't tell it all.
Yeah.
I miss that man.
Make me thinking about him right there.
Yeah.
That's
you
my
act
for real
connected.
brother. Yeah.
He celebrated you a couple of times.
Yeah,
He's
Came
done-
for my birthday, and we just
Yeah.
always just hung out.
Yeah.
My for real brother. And we just love him.
Good
Just love him
guy.
and miss him.
Yes, we do.
He was calling you all niece, and y'all was calling him Uncle Darryl.
Oh yeah, such a cool guy.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
these people are teaching me how to walk in humility. He was an actual very, very.
Oh God, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
very
mean,
humble.
Just for as gifted as he was.
Yeah.
Once you sang on The Simpsons,
Yes, you're doing
Yeah,
something.
that's so
You're
reached
doing
it.
something.
you
You made it.
He sang on The Simpsons.
He made it.
And once you sang on The Simpsons, where else can you go from there? He said, "I'm just going to go on and go to heaven from here." No, I mean, once you've sung on The
Yeah.
Simpsons, what else can you do?
He lived a very, very good life and left a very good legacy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you all don't know what's going on, I need you all to stay connected with us. If you're not following Pastor Sturdivant on his YouTube channel, that's J.E. Sturdivant Ministries. Go on his YouTube. You can actually see a lot of the broadcasts that we've been doing for
That's
the
right.
past few months.
If you've missed
If
them.
you missed them, you can go back and see them. You can share them. You can repost them. But if you want to know what's going on in the know and now of J.E. Sturdivant, whether it's his preaching, whether what he's doing, because he does a lot outside of church. He does a lot in the community. He's we was talking today as far as the things that he's about to go ahead and do. And it's amazing because of his heart for wanting to help people.
Yes,
And that's
Lord.
why we do this every week, because it's really not about us. We don't get anything
It's
from
not.
doing these broadcasts at all, but to simply help you all. And we help ourselves by being a blessing. So if you're not in touch with him, if you don't have any of his books, for those who missed it last week, we're doing it again. He said until the end of January.
The end of January.
He's doing this special. He has written 6 books. If you purchase 4 of the books, 4 of these books, you get 2 of them free. He's about to go ready. He has some new books that's going to come out in February, and he's doing this special. Buy 4 of these books
Wow.
and get 2 of them free. Hey, you better jump on it. Valentine's Day is coming up next month.
Come on.
And you say you love these people. Why not show your love by investing in their soul and spirit? Or if you want him to be a part of your next engagement, or you want to sow a seed, they write some good stuff. If you want to,
one of my
Yeah.
sisters, Sister Barbara, she just now said that she is not able to make Bible study
Yeah,
at her church.
yeah,
Because, she's way down in King George County, Virginia.
yeah.
She says, so what she does is she watches and listens to this for the hour drive from work to King George so that she has the ability
Nice.
to get some
Still, yeah.
teaching on Wednesday.
And that's good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about as far as balance.
Yes, that's it.
Even a lot of us make so many excuses, but God bless you. That was good. Because
trying
we
to
always
tell you.
say, I don't have a car, I can't make it. But your support doing this, it helps. If you want Pastor to be part of your next event, if you have something that's going on, or let me say this first, if you want to sow a seed, because we did it this morning and somebody immediately sowed
They
seed.
sowed a seed immediately.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I appreciated that too. Out of the hundreds of people who watch it,
Yeah.
I'm grateful when one person. Because eventually, if you never, the Bible teaches us to not despise the day of small beginnings. So you never get upset because it's just one person. One person opens the door for somebody else, somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. And so I'm grateful for each person. It's not always the same person each week.
Yeah.
Somebody will sow a seed. And so I want to shout out each person. As I shouted out, you know, the brother that helped out and sowed a seed a few weeks ago, I got to shout out my sister in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Pastor Jackie Humphreys. You know, she's not just a pastor, the preacher, and a teacher. She is also a school teacher, musician.
Wow.
You know,
that's
and so
good.
thank you so much, woman of God, for being such a blessing. I so appreciate you.
So if you also want to be one that sows a seed because you tune in, you know that the broadcast and the teachings that Pastor Sturdivant do every week is a blessing and is something that is needed for you. And you just want to say, Pastor, thank you so much for taking the time out to be a blessing to me. You can do that. A small way of doing that is just going on Cash App.
Yep.
His handle is the $, capital D, lowercase r, capital J, capital E, capital S. And you can sow that seed, and I promise you, the gratitude is there. Or if you want Pastor Sturdivant to be a part of the next event conference, it's the beginning of the year. You know everybody's setting their calendar for 2019, and you like, hey, I gotta get past it. He gotta come to my church.
Bring
he
him
gotta
out,
come.
bring him out.
Hey, he gotta come. He has to come because we have a conference, an anniversary, a workshop, a prayer breakfast. Whatever you have going on, if you want Pastor Sturdivant to be a part of it, because I tell you, he lives for this.
Listen, I'm getting ready to be in Albany, New York next
You
week.
are about to be.
And so I need for everybody that knows anything about Albany, New York, Pastor Parsons.
Yep.
I need you to come over.
Let him know to come out. You're doing a
week.
3 nights.
Yes, I'll be for Pastor Parsons in Albany. I'm sorry that the church is leaving my mind. Is it New? It's not New Birth. It's not New Faith. Nope. I don't know the name of the church right now. I'm so sorry. But it's in Albany, New York. If you look up Pastor Parsons, it is a wonderful ministry that we're looking forward to going and sharing. And I'd love to see everybody there.
So if you want to be in the area, go out. But if you want him to be a part of whatever you have going on, please contact me, Janice Sturdivant, and I can be reached at 301-736-2383. 301-736-2383. 301-736-2383.
Wait a minute, that really? You know, how do you spell that?
Right.
Right. Is that like P S S
H. Something like that.
like
There's a
P
T in there
T
somewhere.
P S T S S S
Yeah.
P S T S S F. Yeah. P S T S S S S H. P S T S S H H H. P S T S S S S H. P S T S S S S H.
I kind of I saw myself being on the stage with Dougie Fresh at some point in my life. I don't know how it's gonna happen.
You know what?
But I feel like him and I are gonna be on the stage.
Give me a beat. Me and Janet Jackson gonna be on stage together.
Nice.
But listen,
We
y'all,
are excited, y'all.
you gotta have balance in your life.
This is the last part, but this is the second scoop of our double
dose.
You know, and people are getting tired if they're at work.
Yeah.
So we gotta give y'all a little energy, a little something.
Gotta give you, instead of getting that 5-hour energy drink, here we come, bringing it to you ourselves. And listen, no hangover, no letdown.
Right.
This gets you up, and it keeps you up,
Yeah.
So we're excited. My daughter Gwen Thompson's come on. I'm very, very excited because, we do this, but it's really advantageous. It's really beneficial. Because sometimes you don't even know that a thing is a problem until somebody starts scratching the surface.
Yeah.
They start unearthing some things. And what we've been doing is we have been dealing with, since we've started this new year, we're still dealing with in our 10 o'clock time about the relationship part of family. And then in the afternoon, the relationship part of who you are in love with or how you really measure love and get into relationships with people. And one of the things that we have been doing is we have been using certain case studies. And in the afternoon, we have been using Samson as a case study. And it's very easy to overlook certain things about Samson because we think we already know him. Oh yeah, Delilah. And we're thinking that, Delilah was the only woman in his life. And she was not the only woman in his life, but she was the one that had a name.
Yeah.
Even though the other two had a place, Delilah had a name. And sometimes you only remember the name of the individuals that were in your life instead of actually remembering how the individuals got into your life. Yeah. Some people are in your life and you can't remember their name, but you're still dealing with the effects of them. I forgot all about them. Yeah, was that Tyrone? Was that Tyrone?
Yeah.
No, Tyrone was the one that came after that one. What was his name again? See, and you may not remember what his or her name was. Thank you, Dr. Dennis Cook, for coming on. You may not remember what the person's name was, but the impact that they made. Sometimes a person comes into your life and sets the stage for how you view relationships and love from that moment on. And when we look at Samson as a case study, Church Talk, we found out that there were a couple of things. Number one, there was let's forget about Samson being strong and the Holy Ghost coming on him and him being able to tear up lions and all of that kind of stuff. Let's look at some of the practical rubber meets the road thing, because there were only a few times that the Spirit of the Lord came upon him and he did various things. But he was still Samson every other day and every time after the Spirit of the Lord. And most people are grateful for the time that they are in church or being used by God, the Hookah Messiah and the Handabasheto Roboko. Yeah, all of that's great. But after you come out of the Spirit, how are you when you're dealing with people? How are you when you are in the marketplace, in the mall, in the restaurant? How are you when you're starting to feel that feeling at night? How are you when you're like, body rocking, knocking the boots? How are you when all of that stuff starts coming up on you? Because it's what you do when the Holy Ghost is not on you that's going to define who you really, really are. And so what I want to do, what I want to look at is I want to kind of look at some things concerning Samson, because I'm going to ask you all a question. Do you have a type? Do you have a type?
I do.
Yeah, you have a type.
I do.
Okay, so the interesting dynamic is this. Your type may be from who pleases you,
Sure.
but it may not be who God has planned for you. I'm going to say that again. Your type may be who pleases you, but they may not necessarily be who God has planned for you. And some people wind up getting their type, but then forfeiting their destiny. Because your type, based on who pleases you, may not be in line with where God is planning on taking you. And so you must have a vision for interpersonal relationships. You have to have a vision. Why? Because if you don't have a vision, what does it say in that Proverbs 29:18? Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people, they perish. One translation says, where there's no open revelation, the people cast off restraint. See, once you have a vision, get ready, for who God has for you, then there are certain people that cannot be attractive to you. Yeah. Once you have a vision for who God has for you, there are certain people that cannot be attracted to you. Oh yeah, you look good, but you're not good for where I'm going. Maybe if I did not have a picture of where I was going, then you would be acceptable. And sometimes we accept people who really are not acceptable because we don't have a vision for where God is taking us. When you look at this story and we see Samson as our case study, one of the things we found out about Samson was that there were certain things about him before he even got here that should have played a major part in who he got connected with. Not who pleased him, but God's plan for him. Watch what it says concerning him. Steph, read please Judges chapter 13. Read at verse number 4, please. Judges 13, beginning at verse 4. We're going to start seeing the foundation that's laid for Samson establishing what his type of relationship is supposed to be, because this second dose is dealing with love. We asked the depth of your love. What's love got to do with it? How do you determine who you give your love to, your heart to? Let's look at some things right here. Please read that for me, Steph.
Now, therefore, please be careful not to drink wine or similar drink, and not to eat anything unclean.
Go ahead.
For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son.
Right. We don't want you to have any strong drink or anything like that. In other words, remember, the Bible says, be not drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit of God. And therefore, he is now telling her, we cannot have you taking in spirits because you are going to conceive, and he must be filled with the Spirit. So now there has got to be some standards established prior to you even having your child, because the choices you make, ma'am, sir, are going to set the parameters for the vision of how you raise your son. And how you raise your son or your daughter is going to have an impact on who they choose to be in relationship with. A lot of what our children or the people that are around us, or even our parents, I've seen what my mother's now 96 years old, but my mother got with somebody who was 20 years older than she was, because she grew up in a home where there was so much domestic violence until she was moved from that house to being raised by her aunt, but then she was missing her father. So she married my father, who was 20 years older than her, because she was looking for a father figure. But because she was raised in a house of abuse, she was attracted to someone who was abusive. How we have the atmosphere, the climate for how we are bringing people up in it is going to determine the type of people that they are going to be, as well as who they're going to be attracted to. So God is now telling her, listen, I'm telling you, you have to set a particular foundation, because your child that's going to be conceived, not even here yet, you've got to stop drinking right now before you even conceive. Because you don't want to bring in a seed into your womb when your womb is already being controlled by outside stimuli. Oh my gracious. The foundation has to be laid before you get laid.
Wow.
You got it? I mean, that's just a very, very blunt way of putting it. But that's what he is saying. Before you conceive, you start preparing now before you get with somebody. The difficulty with most people and most relationships is that they have not already decided what they will or will not do. They let the relationship dictate to them what they will or will not do. And as a result of that, they lose themselves and become whoever they get with. And then when that individual rolls out of their life, male or female, they're now upset because they're saying, I can't believe I gave you the best time of my life. Wait a minute. Why did you not already have a foundation laid or planned as to what you were going to get with, so you would not be giving the best of your life to someone that was not going to be in the rest of your life? Why do you give the best of your life to someone that's not going to be in the rest of your life? I'm going to say that again. Why do you give the best of your life to someone that's not going to be in the rest of your life? Well, I just figured, you know, and God bless you, my daughters and women. I appreciate you all, but you all have kind of lost y'all's mind. And the reason why you've lost your mind is because you think your good is going to wind up making a guy be good. Your good can't make a guy be good. The last person who made a good guy out of some dirt was God. your good is not it, because everybody think their good is the best good. And so you'll wind up giving your good to somebody and then wind up saying, why did they not stay when I gave them myself? And sir, all of the money that you make, you think you can buy her and that she's going to stay because of your money? Do you understand that there's always somebody that's got about $1.50 more than you? And if she came to you because you had $2.50, somebody coming by with $5 is going to get her to walk away from you. Why? Because if money is the motivation, there's going to always be somebody that has something more. So you need to have a foundation with some standards, with a vision of what you want and what you're going to do before you invite certain people into your life. Okay, watch what it says. Steph, read some more of that, please.
And no razor shall come upon his head.
And no razor shall come. I'm telling you what he's going to have to be like before you get him here. So if he wants to get a mohawk, he can't. He can't get a mohawk because I've already decided that his hair has to be a certain style when he gets it. See, do you see how anal God was with drawing a very tight parameter as to what this has got to be if it's going to carry out the plan that I have for his life? Go ahead, please.
For the child shall be a Nazarite to
A
God.
Nazarite what?
To God.
To God.
From the womb.
In other words, I've already got a plan for his life. I've got a plan for his life. Each one of you all need to understand that God has a plan for your life. Come on, you've read it over and over again. You all have heard it in Jeremiah 29:11. Jeremiah 29:11. You all know this by heart. Watch what it says. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you. I know the thoughts, God is talking, that I think towards you. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. One translation says an expected end. So God says, I have a plan for your entire life. How do they say it now? My whole life, my entire life. God says, I've got a plan for your entire life. Not your church segment part of your life, but your life. Your whole life. You know, you said it twice, it's here.
Right.
God got a plan for your life. I mean, if you really want to live, then you got to let God have his plan for your life. Come on, read some more for me, daughter.
And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hands of the Philistines.
His assignment for his life comes as a result of the foundation that you lay for his life. So there's no excuse for anyone to say, I don't know my purpose. You don't know your purpose because you have not asked the one who gives you purpose. The Bible says, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. Proverbs tells us this, Proverbs 3, it tells us that you have the ability to know what God wants for you to do because he has already got a plan for you. It says, lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and then he'll direct your path. And then Psalm 37:23 says that the steps of a good man, of a good woman, are ordered by the Lord. That was Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 7. Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 7. And so what you've got to understand is that God has a plan for your life. Now, one of the best ways to get outside of God's plan is to first say, I don't believe in the Bible. Then if you can debunk the Bible, then you can say, I don't believe in God. So now you've eliminated the manual and you've eliminated the maker of man, which means that now you can do you. Because you have nothing as a reference point, nothing that you can relate to. I don't know how people make it in life without God and without his word.
Yeah.
Read some more, Steph. Janice, you want to say anything before I keep on reading?
No, I was thinking, even when you was talking about as far as just relationships and having that foundation and those standards is so important because a lot of times we can miss the value of a relationship looking for validation.
Wait a minute, that is so good. You can miss the value of the relationship looking for validation within the relationship. That is so, I like that. I like that. You don't even allow the relationship to be all that it could be.
Right.
Because you want to make it something. it was never supposed to be.
Exactly.
That is so very good. Look at you.
Right. No, but I was
Where
thinking
the offering plate at? I'm looking for the offering
we need to keep
plate.
one right here. No.
Have a box of dice.
Thank you. No, but it's one of those things, whether it's, females or, whoever, millennials, a lot of times we kind of miss certain things in relationships because we're looking for something that's not really supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And we have to be wiser in the choices that we make with the people we choose to have relationships with, because even though they may give you something that may feel good for the moment, as you stated before, it may not be what's good for you.
And and that can be sometimes people are coming into your life and they're coming into your life to be a certain thing, but because you are lonely, you make a person that's supposed to be a mentor and to get your business going, you make that person somebody that you get with sexually because I was lonely. So now I don't get the full benefit of what that person could have been because I made them something that satisfied me. And I'm going to show you that in just a second because Samson is the perfect case study for it. Here's the plan. The plan said, when Steph was reading it, that God says he's going to be one that's going to be a deliverer of the children of Israel from the hand of the Philistines. So you got to prepare yourself to be a certain way, mother, because he's going to have to be raised a certain way. And I don't want him, listen, it's so powerful. You can't drink any wine or have any strong drink because you're going to conceive. Why is that? Because once he is inside of you, whatever you take in goes into his system. And whatever is in your system is going to get into him. So I want to make sure that you have a clean vessel before you bring him in, because I don't want him to be corrupt from the womb. Oh my goodness gracious. Then people say, I just don't believe that. Why not? There are parents that drank when they were going to conceive, and then they conceived and their children came out addicted to alcohol, or they were smoking crack when they were pregnant, and the child came out being a crack baby, or they got off of cocaine but they were on methadone, and so the child comes out addicted to methadone. Why? Because you have that stuff in your system. And while the child's system, you're like, I got a strong constitution when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, but the child has a virgin constitution. And what may not seem like it's that much, well, I only had a couple of beers, and the child is like, well, I got stinking drunk in your system because you had that. And then you want to breastfeed your child with the very same thing that's in your system. Likewise, whatever spirit you have in your life, whatever demonic presence you have in your life, you are breastfeeding your child with that spirit that is within you. And that's why there's certain things you've got to just rid yourself of, get cleaned of. I mean, if you're planning on getting with someone and planning on having children, start doing a spiritual detox, an emotional detox. Give yourself some time away from people so that you can get back in touch with who you really are and not the personalities that you took on as a result of trying to be whoever you were with at that time. Steph, do me a favor, because I want to look now down at chapter number 13, verse number 24, please. Chapter 13, verse 24. She's already gotten the promise of what she's supposed to do and what she's supposed to have. Now read this.
So the woman bore a son.
The woman bore a son.
And called his name Samson.
Called his name Samson. So, just like it was prophesied, just like the vision was given to her, just like what God promised was going to happen, it happened just like God said. And I want to tell somebody who may be listening to me on Church Talk or on Facebook or listening to me on YouTube, but not even listening right now, but you're going back to watch it later. I'm telling you that God has a plan for your life. He has something that you are supposed to accomplish. I've shared it a few times before on this station, and I'm saying it again. You are not an accident. You are not an afterthought. You are an assignment. Not you have, you are. The Bible says that God said concerning Samson, he says, you cannot have any strong drink, woman. You cannot do this. You cannot cut his hair. He is going to be a Nazarite from birth. He was an assignment. He will begin to deliver the children of Israel from the hand of the Philistines. He is born as an assignment. He wasn't going to find this along the way. He wasn't trying to find himself.
Right.
Even Jesus at the age of 12 said this, I must be about my Father's business. He didn't say, oh no, I'm gonna wait till I'm 18, then I'm gonna do me for a few years. Then when I get 30, I'm gonna figure it all out. No, he knew at 12 what his assignment was, and he knew at 30, I'm now of age to be considered for a priest. At 12, I am considered a man based on that Jewish custom. That's why they have that bar mitzvah for them at that age. I am considered a so-called man at this particular area. Now I've just got to go ahead, have my confirmation, and then grow into what I already know that I am. Isn't it interesting that at that age of 12 is normally when certain things start happening in the lives of our young people, that preteen area before they become a teen. They've now got pubic hair. They've now started to grow breasts. They're now starting to get a little bit of something going on with them that looks mature. And that's when everything starts happening in their lives. Why? Because when you get to that age of 12, you then start getting some standards in yourself of what you want to do. Yeah, but they're still a kid. Yes. But at 12 years old, they've got young guys standing on the corner selling drugs. At 12 years old, mothers have got girls with tracks in their hair and got fingernails added to them. And they're now dressing them older. At the age of 12, as an average, a girl comes on her cycle and can now actually get pregnant. And you now see girls getting pregnant at that age. You must be about a particular business at the age of 12. I've taught this before, but I'm going to say it again. By the time you get to 15 is that age when the enemy attacks again. Why? Because now the individual is now saying what I am or am not going to do. It was at the age of 15 that you saw David out in the field, and yet he came and got his first anointing for the purpose of being the king. It was the age of 15 that you had Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that wound up being at the age when they are now taken over into another land, Babylon, to learn the king's language. It was that age of 15 to 17 when Joseph had a dream saying that all of my family is going to be bowing down to me. It is at certain ages where the demonic attack comes, because that is your age or your rite of passage. And that is why people act as crazy as they do and wild out at the age of 30. Because at the age of 30 is when you become one that is considered a priest, as Jesus went about his business at the age of 30. But most people at the age of 30 don't see that as coming into their own. They start seeing that as a time when I need to really start doing what I was going to do, because I'm going to be 40 soon. So I better go ahead and act as crazy as I can. And they wind up blowing through their 30s. Then when they get to 40, then all of a sudden 40 becomes the new 20. When 40 is supposed to be the time when you end your wandering or your searching. Because the Bible teaches us that it was after 40 days and 40 nights that the ark came to settle on Mount Ararat. 40 makes reference to the end of wandering. The children of Israel wandered through the wilderness for 40 years. Jesus was tempted of the devil for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 is the end of wandering. It's coming into a sense of self. But what did we do in our generation? 40 is the new 20. So now we don't even appreciate 40. We then go ahead and blow through 20 more years till we get to the point of 60. And then when you get to 60, you start saying, I know what I need to do. But at the time when you know what you need to do, does that mean you're going to have the desire to do it? Because Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 5. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 5 says, the time will come when men's desires will fail. Meaning that you'll know what you need to do, but don't have the desire to do it anymore. So you've got to know the difference as to what's happening at certain seasons and times of your life. Don't play with it. Don't waste your time. And I don't know who I'm talking to right now. And you're trying to go back and recapture, back in the day, back in the good old days. Listen, your best days are still ahead of you. You need to go ahead and embrace your past like a canceled check. I know what I spent it on, but I can't get it back.
Yeah.
And stop trying to run out here and glorifying being a dirty old man or an old cougar. You ain't got to glorify that. There is somebody in your age group that is right for you. Somebody 50 or 60 years old talking about, I got a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I got a boyfriend.
Right.
You old as dirt.
Right.
And you got a girlfriend and got a boyfriend. No, you need to look for somebody that is mature. Girl makes reference to an immature female. Boy makes reference to an immature male. How you gonna be a grown woman and a grown man and still want an immature female or male, somebody in your life like that? Come on, Steph. I want you to now read what she said in that Judges chapter number 13, verse number 24 again. It says what?
So the woman bore a son.
She bore a son.
And called his name Samson.
Come on now.
And the child grew, and the Lord blessed
The
him.
child grew. So he comes out at the stage of infancy, grows into childhood, and then has to grow into, get ready, what he's anointed for. Mm-hmm. He has to grow into what he is anointed for. Mm-hmm. Part of the problem with so many is that we know we are anointed, and we want to get right into it without growing into it. Mm-hmm. David was anointed to be king at the age of 17. Yep. He was 15 to 17 when he was anointed and when he fought Goliath. But he was big for his age. So immediately, because he was already big for his age, mm-hmm. he was standing head and shoulders. He was tall, but he was still young. Mm-hmm. That he had to be tall because when you get to 1 Samuel chapter number 17, 1 Samuel chapter number 17, it says that Saul mm-hmm. wound up telling David, here is my armor, put it on. And we already know about Saul that the way he was picked as king was because he stood head and shoulders above everybody else. Mm-hmm. So David couldn't have been a little shepherd boy. He was a young shepherd boy, mm-hmm. but he was not little mm-hmm. because he had the ability. That's right. You got to grow into what you are anointed for. That was good. So he was one that was big for his age, mm-hmm. but yet he was not old for where he was. Mm-hmm. He had to grow into various things. And listen, some of us, as soon as somebody gets a little bit of oil on their life, we want to push them into ministry. Mm-hmm. We want to try to force them into something because we think, I see the Lord on you. I see him on you. Yeah, but because he is on them does not mean he's ready. Mm-hmm. Jesus said, I must be about my Father's business at the age of 12, but he ain't come into it until he was 30. Mm-hmm. 18 years of preparation. Yeah. Oh, God. 18 years of preparation for what he already knew his assignment was. I want you to see this now because the boy grew. Now watch this. We already know he is a Nazarite from birth. We got that. Mm-hmm. He is one that is supposed to be a deliverer. We've got that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you please read now in chapter number 14, beginning at verse number 1, chapter 14, verse 1.
Now Samson went down to Timnah
Uh-huh.
and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines.
Now wait a minute. Didn't we just now hear that his assignment mm-hmm. is to deliver the children of Israel from the hand mm-hmm. of the Philistines? Mm-hmm. He goes down into the camp of the Philistines and gets into a relationship mm-hmm. with someone that is an enemy mm-hmm. to his anointing, mm-hmm. an enemy to his destiny, mm-hmm. an enemy that is anti to what he is anointed for. My God. Mm-hmm. Read again, Steph.
Read the same
No, read verse 2.
So he went up to his father and mother, saying, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me as a wife.
Get that one for me.
Right.
I know she is not.
Who I'm supposed to be with.
I'm not supposed to be with her.
Mm-hmm.
Why them good boys love them bad girls? Mm-hmm. I know I'm not supposed to be with her. Mm-hmm. However, I saw her amongst the people that God said don't deal with.
Why did he have to ask his parents to get her?
Because
But he didn't even ask. He said,
He said-
he told his father and mother
yeah,
to go get her.
go get her
Go
from
get her.
Yeah.
Go get her for me. Why? Because even then there was which we don't have now is I want my parents' approval for whoever I am with.
That
So
was approval.
go get them for me.
Yeah.
I almost cover my own rear end.
Oh,
If you get them for me, you're giving me the okay on this.
sure.
Now watch this. Go ahead.
Then his father and mother said to him, "Is there no woman among the daughters of your brethren or among all my people?"
In other words, he says, listen, isn't there anybody else
Right.
Right.
that's somebody that's in a covenant relationship with God?
Right.
Go ahead. Watch this.
That you must go and get a wife from an uncircumcised Philistine.
Uncircumcised makes reference to covenant. The Philistines were uncircumcised. They did not get the foreskin cut off of their genitals. The reason why God wanted that to be done, going back to Abraham, you remember Abraham was an old man when he got circumcised. God says you're going to be the father of many nations, and therefore you have to be circumcised. Why do you have to be circumcised? Because that foreskin over the head of a man's penis, it carries impurities. It carries bacteria. And God is saying, when you are giving birth, I don't want the birth of this new nation to come through an area that's got impurities. I want that to be pure. So cut off the area, cut off the flesh. Cut off flesh. Cut off excessive flesh. Yeah, I'm birthing a spiritual nation. Cut off flesh. Because flesh can't be covering spirit. Cut off the flesh so that there can be a proper, pure delivery. Cut it off. And here is what he says. He says, isn't there somebody from the generation, from the nation of people that have a pure covenant relationship with God, instead of these uncircumcised, no covenant Philistines, you know? And because see, your placement or your pick may not necessarily be God's plan.
Exactly.
So now watch, because he was anointed, and so you can either make a choice that is in line with your anointing, your destiny, or you can make a choice that is outside of God's plan and your destiny. So watch what he says. Watch this.
And Samson said to his father, "Get her for me, for she pleases me well."
Get her for me because she pleases me. I know who's playing, but I also know who pleases. So
I
now,
didn't even know her like that to even say that she pleases him.
you know what he went by?
Was she?
Visual. And that's why I say so many times, your type is based on visual, not spiritual. See, that is why you've got to get past. He got to be this tall. She got to have this size breast. He got to have a six-pack. She got to have this size behind. All of that's visual. He got to have his own car, his own this. All of that is visual. And I'm not mad at all of those things. But have you considered first and foremost in your choices, your spiritual part of what you're looking for? Has that even been talked about? Has that even been considered? Have you even thought about the spiritual ramifications? What spirits are you birthing your children through? What spirits are you? I told you all on one of these broadcasts that over in Nigeria, that whenever someone comes and asks for, if a man comes and asks the family for this particular daughter's hand in marriage, that the family will say, come back in 2 weeks or come back in 3 weeks and we'll talk with you. And they then go and check out his history. And they try to see, is there anybody in his family that was crazy, that has done things where they went insane. And they will then come back and say, you cannot be involved because there's instability. There's whatever in your background. We don't do that. We'll maybe check and start seeing how much money do they make. Do they have any STDs? You know, and we'll do those kind of things, and I'm not mad at that. But have you checked further in the relationship? Have you checked to see how he treats his mother? I'm just talking from the girl's perspective now. Have you checked to see how he treats his sisters? Have you checked to see what he was like in his previous relationships? Well, that was just her. I'll be different. I'm gonna be totally. Listen, there are patterns that are established. And one of the artists just now got detained at the airport coming in from Paris. Well, why did he get detained? Because someone has made an accusation against him, which is in line with an accusation that was made against him when he threw a party at his house, which is in line with an accusation that, see, there are patterns that are being established. One of his previous girlfriends had talked about abuse. So you've got these patterns that are established, and everybody thinks that they're going to be different until they're not. And so you've got to now start going beyond the superficial. He says, get this, and he starts establishing stuff. He starts establishing a pattern of types. He starts, I need you all to hear me. He starts establishing a pattern of his type. His first choice of who he wanted and who he got with now established a pattern for the types of women that he would keep on choosing. Y'all aren't hearing me. You need to understand that some of the people that you have been with are a result of the first person that you got with. You established a type. You established something. You established by the guards you let down. You established by what you compromised. If your first relationship was a relationship with somebody that was married, then you have already established that you will break the vows of marriage even if they're your own. You establish certain things by choices that you make. The choices that you make may be what pleases you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's God's plan for you. There's a difference between what has been planned and what pleases. What planned is based on spiritual. What pleases is based on your present physical desires. I want you to see this. Watch what it says in that chapter 14. Read it again, Steph. He says, I have seen a woman
in Timnah of the daughter of the Philistines.
Yep.
Now therefore get her for me as a wife.
Get her for me as a wife. His father and mother said what?
But his father and mother did, right, this one? But his father and mother did not know that this was of the Lord.
Right. Go ahead.
That he was seeking an occasion to move against the Philistines.
That's when we talk about in our earlier broadcast about how you can still have function amongst the dysfunction. God can take even a bad choice and make it work if you can submit it to him. Now I want you all to see something in here concerning this boy. Now this is the one that he chose. And the one that he chose wound up messing with him so much. And Steph, I want you to look for this thing, because Samson had a habit of always playing with relationships. He never took relationships seriously. Why? Because he was only in it for self-pleasure. Wow. Get her for me because she pleases me well. Not that I care about her. Not that she's an asset to me. I'm just looking for pleasure. I'm looking for pleasure. So he gets in a relationship based on pleasure. Somebody send me some hearts, some thumbs. Let me know I'm talking right. Steph, I want you to get this because you're now going to see that you all read it when you get some time. Chapter 14, verse 12 through 19. Judges chapter 14, verse 12 through 19. Because you're going to see that he winds up in chapter number 15. Read that, chapter 14, verse 15. Read it, Steph. And I know I'm spitting on you right here, but go ahead.
But it came to pass on the seventh day that they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband that he may explain the riddles to us, or else we will burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you invited us in order to take what is ours? Is that not so?
Yeah, and so Samson had some riddles that were going on. Read that next verse, please.
Then Samson's wife wept on him and said, you only hate me. You do not love me. You have
Somebody put on there, sounds like R. Kelly. Can you believe... Come on.
Yeah.
You have posed a riddle to the sons of my people, but have not explained it to me. And he said to her, look, I have not explained it to my father or my mother, so should I explain it to you?
This is major because watch this. Why did he get with this woman? Because he said she pleases me. So it was for self-pleasure for him.
Yeah.
So now when the members of her family want her to betray her husband, because of what he is saying, guess what she does? She is willing to turn on her husband. Why? Because he never wanted her for her. He used her for pleasure. So now she is doing turnabout and she is using him. See, what you operate in from jump is going to determine what somebody else does to you. We don't even realize the stuff that we are setting in motion for ourselves by how we go about making our choices.
That was just a situationship right there.
Oh, that was a situationship. That's what we would call it right now. But that's the same thing that's happening with us every single day, with millennials every single day. So he set in motion the type of woman that he wanted by what he did in that particular situation. And the story goes on and says that, after she did that to him and betrayed him, he got so upset until he set their whole field on fire, killed 3,000 men, took their clothes, gave them to the members of her family and all of that stuff. And then in chapter number 15 of Judges, he goes back to this wife after he had been away from him because he was in his feelings. He comes back to her. And when he comes back to her, her father says, she ain't yours no more.
Right.
I gave her to your best man at your wedding. I didn't know you wanted her. It says, but she got a sister. And Samson got so upset with that until he did all of the stuff that I just now named. And then as a result of doing that, they took him into bondage, into captivity, but he got out of it. He got victory over it because they kept on trying to figure out what his secret was. Now, Steph, I need you to please read for me chapter number 16, verse 1. Read that for me, please.
Now Samson went to Gaza and saw a harlot there.
Now listen, he has already shown from the first choice of the woman that I will only get somebody for pleasure. Yeah. So then he goes to Gaza in chapter number 16 and gets a whore. Well, what is a prostitute? A prostitute is not anybody that you are trying to establish a relationship with. Right. Yeah. That's not long term. That is somebody for self-gratification, for self-pleasure. So as a result of the first woman that he got with, he set his type to now be getting only women that could please him. And once he has now got that type in his mind, he picks that woman in chapter number 16, verse number 1. And then let's look at verse number 4 of chapter 16, Steph.
Afterward, it happened that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek.
Now, wait a minute. In chapter 16, verse 1, he now meets a woman in Gaza, a whore. Then he gets down to verse 4 of chapter, just 3 verses later. Right. He has now gotten with another whore. Why? Because he has set up his type by who he was first. And there are some of you, my time is gone. Church talk, I'm going to have to get out of here. But the reason why a lot of you keep picking the same person is because you have never gotten healed from either a hurt, a pain, something somebody did, the person that didn't pick you up at the prom, somebody that hurt your feelings, your first love you gave your first kiss to, you gave up your virginity to, somebody that was from your childhood, you have given that up, and now you are gauging all of your intimate relationships based on who your first love was. How did you get here? That's how they got here, because you opened the door from your first choice, and as a result of them, every other choice, they either look like the person that was your first, either got the name of the person that was your first, either got the temperament of the person that was your first. I keep getting these abusive men. Look back at your record. I keep getting these women, they just gold diggers. Look at how you got the very first one. There are things that you have got to consider that set up a spiritual pattern, and even though that's why I wrote that book, Learning to Soar, chapters 6 through 10. I start talking about how spirits just start staying on bloodlines, and they will wind up attaching themselves. And you're trying to figure out, why do I keep attracting this, attracting that? It's not you that's attracting it, it's the spirit. Like spirits are attracted to different types of spirits that remind them of themselves. I got to get out of here. I'm out of time, but I'm not out of word. I pray that this has blessed you in some kind of a way. Listen, I want to encourage you. Tonight we're going to be having Bible study. Thank you, Church Talk Radio. Thank you, my daughter. I thank you, Regina Robinson Davis, for just being an excellent, excellent daughter. Thank you, Lisa Chu, for carrying us all of last year. I appreciate everyone. I want you to share this with somebody. And while you're sharing it, you watch it again. Go back and check the scriptures. And Now, while you're doing that, check your own life, because you're going to see that a lot of what you blaming him for, he was no good, she was no good. Check out why you chose him. Even if she was no good and he was no good, what was it about you, as good as you were, that made you choose him? There's got to be something in you that makes you pick who you pick, choose who you choose. You can't all of a sudden say, they can't do nothing right. Well, if they can't do nothing right, what does that say about you when you chose them? You have got to now start getting to the root of the thing and stop attacking the fruit of the thing. Listen, as always, it's always my pleasure to come and open up the word of the Lord to you. What's your name again? And you are?
I'm Janice.
And I just want to remind you once again that some people are on the air because they can afford to be on the air. Others on the air because they like the way they sound on the air. But we're on the air. Thank you so much, my daughter, Regina Robinson Davis. We're on the air because what? We got something to say. Said we
got something to say.
I said we got
something to say.
Thank you, Church Talk. We appreciate it. I know I said what I said. Listen, God bless you. We appreciate you. We thank you so very, very much. It is a wonderful honor.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Facebook, share this with somebody. They're going to need this. Thank you so much, my YouTube family. Please share this. Even if this does not do anything for you, it's going to help somebody that's close to you. You know how you say, I'm asking for a friend. Just go on and say, I'm going to share this for a friend.
Yeah.
And then you go in and watch it as often as you want to. Because you can hide behind that friend concept. But if you don't deal with the reality of this, it's going to be toxic to every other relationship that you get into. Or it can make you so bitter until you don't want to get into another relationship. I'm encouraging you to please, ma'am, please, sir, make sure you get into a Bible teaching, Bible preaching, Bible believing ministry. If you're in the DMV area or in the Philly, New York area, it'll be worth the drive twice a month to come down and be a part of this level of teaching and this level of anointing. And if you can find one in your area, God bless you, is going to bless your life. But be careful. And all of your getting, get wisdom, but in getting all of that, get understanding of why you're needing to do what you have to do. If you're in the DMV area tonight, we're going to be doing Bible study. I'll be teaching just a little bit, and then we're going to give away some free groceries, some free food, and we want you all to come. This is not something we're doing just because of the furlough. We do this every Wednesday. Before the furlough had become a furlough, we were giving away food, and we want to encourage you. If you know somebody, tell them to come by Faith United Ministries, be in our Bible study.